Hello, hello. This is the 214th Test from the Future, an experimental podcast from the year 2225, which we are sending from our present to yours. My name is Dirk.
And my name is Simon.
And we're putting the past in podcast. Mm-hmm. So when we say yours, we mean the listeners in the 21st century.
Correct.
Yes. Anybody in the 21st century.
That's who we're addressing. Listeners from the 22nd or the 23rd. Shifted a little, yeah. We're talking to folk from the 21st.
Yeah, exactly. Although, if you're now in the 22nd century and you're listening to an 100-year-old podcast, nice.
Very nice.
Yes.
Guess our show has staying power.
Exactly. At one point,
Maybe we're taught in schools. Like it's part of the curriculum.
Wow, that would be cool. In the 22nd century.
Yeah, in the 22nd. I don't know what the subject of such a class would be. Maybe podcast production.
Or future something.
Historical inaccuracies.
Something like that, yeah.
So maybe folk in the 22nd century are listening to us for that reason. Yeah.
But also, like,
I don't remember it being a thing in school, at least it's a while ago now, that I was in school. I don't remember hearing our podcast in school, like being taught to us, but...
Good point.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing is, like, for the listeners living in the 21st century at the moment.
They're the people we're addressing.
We're talking about the 23rd century. That is pretty far away, you know. If we're giving them a tip about how to use your jet pants, okay, that's so far away. By the time they get to it, you know, 200 years later, they'll have forgotten it.
Sure.
But
maybe they make notes in their calendar to remind themselves.
True, actually, yeah. Or set an alert or something like that.
Exactly.
But then I was thinking about the people in the 22nd century. On the one hand, they listen to a 100-year-old podcast. On the other hand, some of our tips might be practical.
Yeah, very actually relevant within their lifetimes.
Yes, exactly. Or they at least can tell their kids about it.
Yeah.
You know, watch out when you wear your jet pants to not, something.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
But I saw there was something I wanted to ask you about. I saw in a couple of weeks the space rally is happening, and I remember you wanted to go to that. Did you get tickets in the end?
Yeah. I didn't. I tell you.
No.
I got 2 tickets.
Nice. How'd you get them? Because they're pretty hard to come by.
You remember? I think it was your idea. Even remember the orbital glider?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We did an episode about it. Even
Anyway, the thing you got from work, yeah.
Exactly. I won it at a raffle at work, and one of the other prizes that I didn't get were 2 tickets to the space rally.
Right. And you wanted to... I remember now. I suggested asking your colleague who'd got the tickets if you could swap.
Miss Hubert. And this worked. Because she's going to the space rally anyway. Because she even...
she'd already bought tickets.
No, she goes there for work. That's how she got the tickets in the first place.
I see.
I mean, she goes there for work.
And she'd put them in the raffle and then happened to win them herself.
Exactly. And then because she has her own spaceship, the orbital glider was super useful for her. So she was hoping to get the orbital glider, which we just had flapping on the floor.
We didn't have a spaceship to hand, but she's got one. She can use it to keep the windows open.
Exactly. So I ran into her in the canteen the other day in Tunguska. And then... I mentioned it, and she said, "Totally fine." She wanted to give the tickets away anyway because she's already going. She thought this idea was way better. Yeah. So
glad that worked out.
I hope you didn't make any plans.
No, I don't. So is it 2 weeks from now? 3 weeks from now? When's the date?
I would have to check. Let me.
Let's check. That would be sad if I've already made plans I can't change, but hopefully.
I was hoping because I was thinking. If it works, maybe we can record on location. That would be
good
cool.
idea.
This is 3 weeks from now. Yes.
So the 8th of June?
Yeah, exactly. 8th of June. Yeah, exactly.
I'm free.
I mean, 8th of June, let's say Earth time.
Sure.
Yeah. But yeah.
Yes, I am free, and I've marked it in my calendar not to book something. Book something.
I mean, it's actually several days.
Okay. That's just the start.
Yeah. No, actually. Now I'm not really sure, but I thought 8th of June.
We should double check this before then.
Yeah, exactly. But I thought 8th of June would be when we record.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, but a good thing that you reminded me. Yes, I got 2 tickets. Awesome.
Very nice.
Yeah. But today is about something else.
Something else entirely. Yes.
It's about hoverdiving.
Exactly. which I remember you mentioned, but you came back from holiday, yeah?
Yes.
Episode 199, you came back from holiday and you had just had a course while you were on holiday, yeah? Like training in how to hover dive. And now we're going to talk about that.
Yeah.
That sport, hobby. I mean, depends on your level of involvement, but
yeah, I
we're
mean,
going to talk about hover diving.
I mean, for me, definitely hobby, I guess. Although it is very physical. Mm-hmm. So you use all kinds of muscles that you didn't know you had, but you still also use technology. Mm-hmm. And also comes with nice scenery. So it's a really, it's relatively popular, as I understood. So that's why it's not so easy to get...
to get the classes, and that's why you took those ones last minute.
Yeah, exactly. And then because I've been doing it, I know now a little bit. Mm-hmm. I'm a total beginner, but not somebody...
Sure, but you know more than I do and more than our listeners know, so...
Yes, I guess, yeah.
I guess today, well, not even I guess, so you're going to tell us all about it.
Yeah.
Nice.
Maybe to start...
you could tell us about the course itself?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So the course itself, it was in a relatively shielded environment. Mm-hmm. It was taking place in sea nodes.
Those like bubbles in the rock.
Yeah.
With water at the bottom.
Yeah, exactly. So they're like kind of like sphere-shaped caves. Yeah. Like I did it in Mexico. As I understood it, they were all over the world, but they had a big concentration of them in Mexico. Mm-hmm. So they're big spherical caves, and sometimes the roof caved in, and sometimes they're completely underground. Mm-hmm. But anyway.
When they're underground, do they have like... Is there any light down there, like from glowing things, or are they completely pitch black?
I mean, like naturally, it's pitch black.
Okay, yeah.
But where we were, when it was completely underground, there were basically the equipment that we're using was illuminating anyway.
I see. Yeah.
But yeah, so in those sea nodes there's water, so they're half filled with water, or anyway, partially filled with water, and because they're relatively closed environment, it's really easy to get to know the basics.
To practice the hover diving, yeah, like not having to worry about, if you're in the ocean, having to worry about tides or sharks or anything like that.
Yeah, exactly. So and the water is calm. And of course the basics of hover diving is hover technology. So you're standing on, I guess, kind of a hoverboard. But
you're like, your feet are strapped to it, yeah?
Yeah, exactly. Your feet are strapped to it, but it's like there's like two separate boards. They're not even boards, they're kind of like circular.
Like, so you're standing, one foot standing on each one.
Exactly, that's it. But they're still tied together flexibly.
Tethered.
Yeah, exactly. So you can move your feet away and close a little bit, forward, backward, different positions, but you can't make it like a complete leg split or so.
Right.
Yeah. Anyway, so and this is the whole basics of hover diving. This is how you hover around. So you can also tilt your feet and so on, and this makes you go up and down.
Okay,
and left
if you want to swim forwards, I guess you tilt them behind you maybe, and then you push yourself forward.
Exactly. That's really basically how it works, and also because you can tilt your feet independently, you can steer. That's kind of the idea behind it.
I see.
It takes a while.
I was going to say, you've not done anything like that before. Is it similar to hover, like stuff you know from just hoverboarding? Does that apply? Does it transfer over?
No, for me, especially in the beginning, it was more of a hindrance even because like the actual movements that you're making are, let's say, slightly similar, but they have different effects.
I see, and also you're underwater, so that also.
Yep, so that's the thing. It's like it's half. It's like it's both above as well as underwater.
Okay.
So that was the whole idea. That's why it was called hover diving, because you can go below and above. That was the whole idea behind it. So you can basically leave the water as you see fit.
Yeah. I guess for fun, you can make it look like you're walking on water. You put your feet, just below the surface, or like,
yes,
like the board's just below the surface, your foot just on top.
Yeah.
Okay, but that wasn't so much of a thing.
I wish I had thought of this.
And no one else there was doing that.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, but it's usually you're a pretty high speed. So I think running on water would be more
rather than walking,
similar to it.
Or gliding, I guess.
But most of the time your angles are relatively steep.
Okay.
So you go...
So not horizontal, but rather at a diagonal.
Exactly. So basically you shoot into the water, you go deep down, and then you shoot back out again, and then you go back a little bit, yeah. And but then also bigger distances.
Yeah.
Like a dolphin just jumps out
like
of the
a flying
water.
fish.
Yeah, but then I think maybe even more like a flying bird.
Oh, okay, wow.
It's like a bird
Yeah,
plunges into the water,
Sure,
swims around a little bit, and then flies out again. I think it was, come to think of it, it was a little bit like these water birds, like pelicans or so.
Mm-hmm.
Because the basic technology is first to be able to understand the angles, and then the training is actually above water.
Ah, okay.
It's like the training, the start. You start above water.
Sure.
And if you get the controls right, then you go underwater because there's a whole different resistance down there.
Sure, yeah. I don't know. So how long are you spending underwater? Like, do you need breathing equipment?
Not equipment per se. You basically close off your
nostrils.
Nostrils. That's it. Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly. So
you hold your breath when you're down there, and then you come back up.
The nostril plugs.
Give you air,
exactly.
air
like they filter the oxygen out of the water.
Makes sense.
They had a name.
Rebreathers or
no, some Spanish sounding name. I forgot.
Okay.
Everything had Spanish sounding names.
Makes sense since you were in Mexico. Yeah.
Except Hoverdiving, they didn't have a Spanish word for this. But either they came up with it or they perfected it. Also, all the equipment had Mexican or the Spanish sounding names. Yeah, they all sounded cool, but it was a little bit harder to remember for me.
Yeah.
So that's the basics. So you have the actual, let's call them boards anyway, and then the nostril plugs, and then there's the depending on what time of day you're doing it. You had this sphere trailing behind you that was taking care of the light.
Right, when you went into the ones which were all dark, or short at night as well.
Yeah, exactly. So like the course was 2 weeks. It was every time I was like half a day training, half a day relaxing, and then in the beginning it was just like the first day we didn't even go into the water at all, and then you get into the water, and then also the nice thing is like some of these sea notes are really optimized for leisure. They have benches and stairs, and you can get to them easily and so on. But some of them are hard to get to. There's just a tiny hole in the surface, and then that's it. So nobody actually goes down there. But with hoverdiving, you can easily do this. You can basically just shoot through the hole, shoot into the water, and shoot back out again.
Yeah.
And also you can easily maneuver between sea notes.
I see, like go from one to the next.
Yeah. And some are hard to get to because they're in the middle of the rainforest. And so this hoverdiving, I understand that it's popular in sea notes because...
Yeah, right. Like you, like a bird, like you say, you are in the water for a bit, then come shooting out of it, fly over the trees or whatever's in between, and then land back in the next.
Exactly. That's the other thing. You can really easily navigate between them also. Yeah. So you can go from one to the other to the third one. If you're like using a normal hoverboard, you get out of the water, get on your hoverboard, hover over there, get off your hoverboard, get into the water, swim, whatever. And for this, you basically go in and out, go to a different sea note. And also, you go with groups. So it's like, hey, let's all now go follow me, and then everybody shoots out of the water and then you all fly over to the next sea note. That was actually pretty cool. So by the end of the course, it's not so hard. So everybody got the basics. So it was pretty cool.
Yeah. And so right now you've had that basic training. Have you made use of it so far? Like other than in the sea notes, have you gone hoverdiving anywhere else?
For me myself, because like part of the course were already these boards. I have to look up the name for these things.
Sure.
I've used them here even in the river.
Nice.
Because you can use them in ponds as long as they're deep enough, in lakes and rivers. So I've used them in the mine a couple of times.
Cool.
Yeah.
But not the places with the volcanic activity.
No, they didn't cover that in the basic course. That was the advanced course. Yeah, I know it's quite popular with volcanic activity on the sea level. There's even a version with actual lava.
Wow. Actually, so not just Deep in the ocean, near the trenches where the volcanic activity is happening, but actually in a live volcano with lava and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. So that's not even covered in the advanced course.
No.
More for professionals, I guess. But yeah, for the volcanic activity, so that's often further deeper down, and requires special equipment, special experience, and so on. So.
Sure, I mean both that against the pressure, and in the volcanoes against the heat and the lava.
But apparently, that's adds a whole different level of entertainment, because you have this hot
excitement. Yeah,
it's not like this hot lava water going up. You have these bubbles, and then especially
jump from bubble to bubble.
Yes, that's the idea. Yeah, exactly. You go in between these bubbles, and you can go up and down. And of course, the bubbles add their own kind of spin to your movement. That's supposed to be. That's actually how it. The whole concept initiated. Because people wanted to use this.
I see, right. You had the basic training for the final, for the main thing, and the main thing is actually doing that in the bubbles from the volcanic activity.
Exactly. So I think by now the basics became so widely spread and widely popular that a lot of people are just using it for...
I mean, it sounded fun, jumping from C note to C note.
Exactly.
So that can be its own thing, but also there's this extra level.
Yeah. I'm not sure yet if I'm also going to do the advanced course though.
Sure. Is there different equipment for the advanced? I guess there must be, for the volcanoes. You mentioned, so but do you know what the special equipment is?
You need something for the air pressure.
Yep. Against the heat as well, I guess.
And against the heat, yes. Exactly. So you use the same things, but then heat resistant. And then you have one additional thing for that is basically using the hot air bubbles that are coming from the volcano. So something that interacts with this, and something to deal with the pressure. So you basically have definitely more things around you. Yeah. Maybe I'll do it. Maybe I don't. You gonna do it? Hoverdiving?
It does sound very appealing. Yeah, you mentioned it some weeks ago, but I kind of slipped my mind. I hadn't really thought about it since. But the volcano, not the volcano with the lava, but rather jumping from bubble to bubble, deep under the ocean, that appeals to me. So I can imagine it feels. I mean, there's so many ways we can do things that feel like flying, but that feels like a new level of.
Yeah, exactly. It's
feeling like flying.
Yeah, that's a fair point. It is very different than anything else that we've experienced.
They have those. Deep under the ocean, you have those really interesting looking fish as well. Wouldn't mind seeing those.
True. Actually, although the sea notes, funny enough, they also had their own kind of microclimate, because
is each one standalone?
Yeah. So you have animals that just live in one or certain sea notes just there.
I see.
Because it's apparently if you're a fish and you live in a sea note, it's not so easy to get to a different sea note.
There aren't streams between them, I guess. Or
in a few cases there were, but most of them they were isolated. Yeah. So it's not just this is the kind of animal that lives in a sea note. Although you also have snakes and crocodiles or whatever that can move. Yeah. One thing though that I should point out is I don't think it's actually necessary, but it's kind of custom. If you're doing hoverdiving, you have to cover your body in tattoos. It sounds crazy. These are white tattoos, so not black, so white.
Okay. And your entire body?
Yeah.
So it's more so then it just looks like a second skin rather than tattoos? Or is it tattooed into you with a tattoo needle?
It's temporarily.
Okay, a temporary tattoo.
Yeah, exactly. And then you
white all over your body, including your face.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's weird.
But I also they explained it as if it was something cultural from long ago.
Okay, so not a safety thing.
No, exactly. It's it serves no purpose other than kind of identifying or identity.
Okay, on one hand that's even stranger, but on the other hand, okay. So the reason I said weird before is how would that even help with safety? Okay, when that's not the point.
Yeah, it's unnecessary, and it looks way better than you think.
Okay,
and they're not thin lines; they're really thick lines.
Okay.
Thick white lines.
Okay, I was imagining really just a solid second skin, as I said.
Okay.
But you meaning like designs?
Yeah, no, it's basically just lines on your skin.
Okay.
And you can even have them programmed through your cyborg chip.
Ah, that's convenient.
Yeah, exactly. So and they're randomized.
Sure.
So you can just say, hey, I'm about to go hover diving. Of course, they're not like part of your default plan. So, but of course, like you need to get the equipment anyway. So when you get the equipment, you get also like a plan upgrade for the cyborg chip. And then you can have your,
I mean, it sounds fun. Yeah, I guess you can make up, or at least you can request certain designs to make yourself look.
Yeah, but it's like I said, it's a randomized button, and you can
random. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. So you can basically just you activate it, and you get some random.
So you can keep hitting it until you get a random design you like.
Yeah, you can save save the randomized designs, and also exactly. And if you don't like it, you can just say,
try again.
Okay, this one is nice. Okay, or so this is kind of okay, but I want to save it and I try a bit more. Then I want to go back to.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's. I mean, you'd be surprised how long people are working on their tattoo and less on their technology technique.
Yeah. I guess you don't change it once you've started, but
no.
At least
people were to be honest, most people were sporting different tattoos every day.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, so like it's not like you have to have one and then it's forever if you're doing hover diving.
I see.
Yeah. I wish I had.
Strange. Sorry, go on.
Yeah, I wish I had paid more attention because they did explain what it came from, and but this was in the introduction. The introduction was in a tent in the dark, and they had like a smoky fire in the tent in the dark. While they were explaining that, so you didn't even hear the person. Hard to focus. Yeah, it was hard to focus, and you didn't see the person that was speaking and so on. And that was just a lot of new impressions the first day. So,
sure. So it does sound really cool. I will look into also taking lessons myself.
Cool.
Thank you for telling me all about it, and our listeners too, of course.
Yeah, if our listeners are interested, I can definitely recommend a good course. Yeah, just have to wait 200 years.
Yeah.
Almost.
Best to wait 200 years.
Yes.
Don't want to be getting in there like some weeks ago when you were having the lessons. That's confusing. Wait until after this episode was recorded. And to let us know, listeners, that you heard this episode that we recorded, please send an email to michaellasagna5@gmail.com and put the number 214 in the subject line so that we know this went back in time.
Yes. And for now, thanks for listening and see you in 200 years.
Bye-bye.